So we've said hello there. We're recording this right after the end of the final whistle at Goodison Park. Classic smash and grab by West Ham United. West Ham United won, Everton 0 at Goodison Park. And one of my favourite messages I've seen so far in my West Ham group chat is that we run Goodison Park these days. James, a brilliant win. A bit of a turgid game, to be quite honest with you. It had some strong Brentford vibes from it. I know Everton had a few players missing as well. It's a bit of a frustrating affair. But as we've seen so many times with West Ham, where we used to say, oh, that just doesn't happen to West Ham. It does these days, doesn't it? Under David Moyes, that team's got a completely different mentality. I thought it was refereed really well, and Angelo Ogbonna popping up to get the winner deep into the second half. Absolutely brilliant stuff and a vital 3 points.
Oh, mate, what 3 points that is. That's yeah. I think the key thing was the performance all round was good. We dominated them from start to finish. I think maybe they had maybe a 5 or 10 minute spell in the first half and the same in the second, but 90% of the game we dominated the ball. We had what was normally the case last season was that we struggled really to when other teams were allowing us to have the ball, we really struggled to create chances because we're more of a counter-attacking team, as are Everton. And I think there are times in that game where we did struggle a little bit when we got into the final third to really sort of know really what to do. And as a result, particularly in the second half, I thought they're going to nick a winner here. Everton are going to nick this, and they're not going to deserve it. But thankfully, Big Angelo pops up and gets the winner, and it's a second smash and grab at Goodison Park in 2 years, and fully deserved, 100%. Every single one of those players put in a shift, and just glad we've come away from Goodison Park again with 3 points, and we're sixth in the league again.
Yeah, that's the huge thing, isn't it, mate? Particularly after Brentford, it's so easy to look at that and go, oh, if we'd beaten Brentford, or sorry, if we'd got a draw at Brentford, we'd be fourth. But it's the same situation again, isn't it? Both of those performances, if they'd both ended up draws, you wouldn't have been overly surprised, would you? But as we said with the games preceding that, like with the Man United one, you'd taken the defeat at Brentford and then the win at Everton, wouldn't you? I just thought, I just thought it felt really important to keep us in that conversation in that top six and in and around there, because you don't know what's going to happen at St James's Park, game that's kicking off imminently between Tottenham and Newcastle. I think if we'd have lost that, then we've got some difficult games coming up. You're sort of a little bit out of it and a little bit out of touch with it all, particularly with Everton, who would have, especially they'd have won, but they're up there as well, and we've leapfrogged them with the win. Yeah, it just felt really, really important, and it just felt again like last season at times. David Moyes delivers the 3 points when West Ham need them at those vital times that sort of feel on a knife edge, which come up a few times in the season, but that keeps us well and truly in the mixer still, doesn't it?
Massively. Everton are going to be in and around there, I think. Interestingly, I was just after that game finished, I was doing a little bit of research. I love my stats. This probably isn't a stat.
If you mention the letter X or G, I'm logging off.
No. I won't mention XG. I've not had time to look at that data yet, but I'll get around to it. Interestingly, that was our 30th Premier League game this calendar year, and only 6 of those games we've finished the game outside of the top 6.
Really?
Yeah.
I was just gonna have a go at you, or not have a go. I was just gonna laugh and say, just because you start a sentence with the word "interestingly" doesn't mean that what you're going to say is interesting. But that's
interesting.
That is interesting,
yeah.
mate. Yeah.
And it was the first 3 games of the calendar year. The 3 wins we had against Everton, Burnley, and West Brom.
Yeah.
That was when we started climbing up, and then ever since then we've been finishing every single game in the top 6. And then the 3 games preceding the one we've just seen against Everton, we finished outside the top 6. Now we're back in the top 6. So 6 games out of 30 this calendar year, we've not been in the top 6, which is massive.
James, that's Opta Stats ringing you. See if you want a job, mate.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. It's my mother-in-law. Didn't know she worked
Well,
for Opta.
yeah. She's obviously celebrating the win as well. No, that is fairly intriguing, to be honest, mate. And yeah, just shows where we're at as a club at the moment. Interestingly, you said then that you thought it was a dominant performance and all that sort of thing. I thought it was okay. It just looked like a lot of huffing and puffing. We didn't really create much, did we? I think the overall the stats flashed up on about the hour mark, and it was 1-1 on shots on target after like 65 minutes or whatever it was. I didn't think we didn't look particularly dangerous. It's fair to say, you know, if you just took the goal out of that and watched the highlights. Well, actually, I was just going to say, if you took the goal out of that and watched the highlights, you'd think it was 0-0. It's like, well, yes, as you would in any game. But it just didn't. There wasn't loads and loads of chances, was there? West Ham ended the game having had 4 shots on target to Everton's 2. I think a lot of those, like I say, it was 1-1, I believe, on about the hour mark. And as the game opened up a little bit towards the end, we obviously got a couple more efforts in. 16 shots for West Ham, 15 for Everton. I don't know what they were counting the shots.
Most of them were blocked, though, weren't they?
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. It just seemed like one of those where, like, it almost seemed a game where each team was going to be fairly content with the point. Everton had a few injuries, didn't they? I didn't think they looked particularly dangerous. Obviously, if you had Dominic Calvert-Lewin instead of Salomon Rondon up front. What a moustache that was, by the way.
Superb. Good
yeah,
effort.
yeah, wonderful. If you had Calvert-Lewin up top instead of him, and Richarlison obviously is a little bit more dangerous than Alex Iwobi. I think, you know, a different team, but this is a long way of saying I didn't think we were like great. We did okay at keeping the ball and keeping possession. Everton, typically a bit like us, are more happy to let the other team have the ball anyway. All I'm saying is I don't know if when you say we definitely deserved that. I'm almost sort of erring on the side of if either one did, it was probably just about us, but a draw was probably fair.
I think, particularly in the first half, that first 20, 25 minutes, we were really getting in behind their midfield, really opening them up a little bit. And had our decision making, as I've already said, had the decision making in the final third been a little bit better, then, we could have been 3 or 4-0 up. Quite easily, every time.
3 or 4.
Had our decision making been better because we were getting in behind Decore so many times. Declan Rice was bossing that midfield, and I just felt like, as I've already said, when we're made to dominate possession, we do struggle a little bit in that final third. And had we been a little bit better, then I think it would have looked a lot better than actually probably what it was. But I still thought we played very, very well. I don't think had Everton had Everton say nicked a winner instead of us, I think it probably would have been a little bit harsh.
Yeah, no, that's what I know now, James. I said if either team deserved it, it was probably us. But I think on the balance of it, it was probably fair. I mean, it was a first half of 2 halves, wasn't it? I don't think that's going to take on as a football cliche as much as game of 2 halves. However, like you mentioned there, we did come out the blocks well. They started in similar fashion to how we did against Brentford. But then in the second half of that first half, I think we were sort of pretty lucky to go in at 1-1. Salomon Rondon's header in the second half, I think it was, where it was just inches past the post. A couple of big blocks in there from Ogbonna. Iwobi has the one in the first half where he inexplicably stepped over the ball rather than slotting it in from 6 yards out. 40 million quid was good value for Alex Iwobi from Arsenal, wasn't it? You know what I mean? If put it this way, if you're trudging home from Goodison Park at the moment, you'd be going, what the hell? How have we lost that? How have we not got anything out of that game? Bit of a drab game. Like the chances that did fall. I would argue they arguably had the slightly better chances, perhaps, particularly obviously that doesn't show up in the stats when Iwobi just decides I'm not going to finish this from 6 yards out. But yeah, I just thought that delighted with the fashion of it. And what's funny, James, I don't know about you, in Moyes' era, in games like that, so often now, unlike our previous days of following West Ham, when we're in games like that, I'm just like, well, if anyone's going to nick it, we will, because that's what we do these days, and the mentality is different, and it just seems less stressful watching us, even in games like that where they can go either way. I'm almost erring on the side of, well, we're either going to win or we'll just hold on for a draw. We almost seem too disciplined these days to let stupid, annoying things happen. I know it happened against Man United earlier in the season. And even then, we were one kick away from getting something out of the game.
Yeah.
We don't always seem on the edge of it all going to pot anymore.
No, I agree. I think one thing Moyes has done is just he's built a level of professionalism within the squad, resilience, and he's just the players know their job. Even in those last 10 minutes, I thought there was times when in the past you may have expected someone, one player to be caught out of position, not being where they should be, ball popping out. But the ball coming in from a cross and someone's out of position and it lands at an Everton player and they get an equaliser. But instead, Declan Rice was still cutting out crosses from Townsend in the 93rd minute. He was still in the right place at the right time. There was just so much discipline, so much professionalism throughout from every single player. So I think that's one thing. One of the positives under Moyes over the last 2 years is that he's just instilled a level of professionalism that every single football team should have.
Yeah.
It should just be like the bare minimum
standard
for a football club.
Yeah.
And you don't see it very often with many football clubs. No. You only really see it in top 6 football clubs. We've got that at the moment where that you go 1-0 up, the likelihood is you're either going to see it out or you might concede an unlucky late goal or something like that. But that if you do concede a goal, it's not going to be through your own fault. It's going to have to come from a bit of quality.
Yeah, which I honestly don't mind that. You know what I mean? Lingard bends one in the top right corner the other week, and you think,
and it's like, well,
fair enough,
okay.
Good effort. Yeah. You've done well there. That's a bit of good football that we've been beaten by. But I totally agree, and it's staggering, isn't it? How I suppose that's what they say, don't they? I know money buys you quality, but money buys you consistency as well, doesn't it? Players like N'Golo Kante and all that sort of thing. He's a world-class player. And the reason he's a world-class player is because every single time he steps on the pitch, he does all the simple things to almost perfect level, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Like infallible time in, time out. And on that note as well, mate, I thought Declan Rice was absolutely phenomenal today. I've seen some immediate Twitter reaction. People are suggesting Ben Johnson was man of the match. I thought Johnson did very well. But again, I think it maybe people are sort of bored of saying it, or it's getting a bit unfashionable because it's boring to say it. But I thought Declan Rice was head and shoulders above everyone today. Just didn't seem to put anything wrong, cutting loads of stuff out, getting us on the like transferring play from defence to attack really efficiently. I just thought he was brilliant.
What was interesting with Declan Rice is that he and Soucek had reverted to their roles they had so many times last season. Quite often this season, we've been said on last week's podcast in particular about Soucek's form, and maybe is it because Declan Rice has been given license to get forward. But it was the other way around. Like they switched it back to the norm to today. And I thought Declan Rice, he can play both roles perfectly, really, really well. But today he was just so good, just sitting there behind, allowing Soucek to go forward, breaking up play, just reading the game so well. Just another masterclass from him.
Energy to burn at the end as well, didn't he?
Yeah. And when Soucek goes off, that's when he can go forward. And we changed the system, went 5 at the back, and that allowed him to get forward on the counter attack. And I loved it when Ogbonna got the goal and everyone ran over to Ogbonna and he ran towards the West Ham fans.
I know.
For a minute, I was like, where's he running to? And then realised that's where the fans are sitting. It's like, fair play, man.
He must have thought that Ogbonna was going that way, mustn't he?
Yeah.
But he just sort of led it and then turns around like, oh, see you later. Jonesy, incidents in the game we're going to talk about. The corner award in the build up to West Ham's goal, and Antonio goes up with Pickford, the notoriously flappable Pickford in the ace. Strange, looks almost perfect for England when he plays. Puts an Everton shirt on. It just seems like he's playing down the park on a Sunday with his mates.
Yeah.
The Rondon stamp on Tomas Soucek, and I use that word advisedly. We'll talk about that. You're obviously going to disagree with me already. And the introduction of Andrei Yarmolenko and his one touch on the ball being to give the ball straight back to Everton when they were
in the 92nd minute.
Exactly. Yeah. When they were pressing, it's generally, and the podcast title last week was Yarmo the Troll Strikes Again. And he's just trolling West Ham fans now, I'm telling you. Had that cheeky little grin on his face as David Moyes went to bring him off the bench. He goes, I know what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make everyone nervous. But yeah, we'll start, I think, obviously anything else that you think I've missed there, Jonesy, do let me know. But we'll start with the Jordan Pickford, Michail Antonio incident. For me, absolutely no debate whatsoever. It was a corner. It wasn't a foul. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make for very good podcast content. I appreciate that. If we just go, yeah, you're right, but no conversation at all for me.
It's no conversation, especially when you see the replays. But even in real time, it looked like a corner. Like, even without having seen the replays, it looked like Pickford got the last touch. And had the referee or the lino gone, no, that's a foul on Pickford, it would have been harsh. But, you see those all the time. The goalkeepers get so much protection from referees. So if anything, it was refreshing that it wasn't given as a foul.
Definitely.
It was quite nice to see, actually. It should be that, it's still two players in the 50-50 aerial duel, exactly the same as in midfield.
Allowed to use his arms.
Exactly. If anything, you should give benefit of doubt to the attacking player because he can't use his hands in that contest. So I think it was the right decision. There was no contest, and I'm pretty sure angry Everton fans who weren't happy with the decision will probably agree once they've seen the replay. But yeah, I think it was a good decision because you would some of those they would have been given as a goal kick as well.
Yeah. I thought the whole game was you're right, mate, on both counts. Yeah, I thought the whole game was refereed really well as well. By the way, it just
Yeah.
Come on, behave after Peter Banks against Brentford.
I mean, no one gets anywhere close to Peter Banks, mate. Peter Banks is the worst referee I've ever seen in my life. But who was it? Was it another Peter? Was it Peter Walton today? I think it was Peter. I don't know, something Walton.
No, Peter Walton's the bloke who's about 75 on BT Sport.
Oh, it might be him. I don't know. It could have been him. I don't know I don't know who the referee was, to be fair, but I thought booking Antonio in the first half. He's tried to buy a free kick, but it's 10 minutes into the game, mate. Just basically warn him. He wasn't even diving for a penalty. He was outside the box.
Yeah, but an offence is an offence at whatever time of the game it is, isn't it?
I don't know. I think it was a bit harsh. And then he didn't book Godfrey for doing the exact same thing later on, or in the second half, I think it was.
I was a little bit with you on that. But then if you look, Antonio pushes or touches him a little bit. The only difference was Antonio wasn't touched at all, was he? But I don't think just saying because it was 10 minutes in, that shouldn't be a yellow. That's not how it works.
I mean, if it was in the, I think also if it was in the box, you go, yeah, okay, fair enough. But it's outside the box. I just thought it was a bit harsh. The same thing with Fornals' yellow. Fornals hasn't, he's not. It was his first offence.
Yeah,
he's got a bit of the ball, and then he's booked him. It's just a couple of silly little decisions like that. I thought that ruins it for me because when you're booking a player after 10 minutes and then you're booking a player for losing a 50-50 challenge, come on, just a little bit silly for me.
Right. First of all, then Antonio gets booked. It's a dive. It doesn't matter where it is in the game, so no conversation on that. That was one. I did think that was harsh. He did slide in. I don't know. 50-50 is probably a little bit claret and blue tinted specs maybe, but he's tried to intercept the ball. Yeah, definitely not a yellow that. But then, like I say, the big call later in the game with Pickford got correct on 2 counts, wasn't a foul and it was a corner. And then other than that, I thought the game flowed quite nicely. It's just so refreshing this season to see, other than against Brentford, see like sort of niggly little fouls or niggly little come-ins together always resulting in fouls. That doesn't happen anymore for both sides, West Ham and Everton. There was a few times we lost the ball, just got shoved off it, and the game plays on, and you can't just call for them because they're against your own team. Yeah, I thought all in all, I thought Stuart Atwell it was, by the way. I thought he had a good game.
Yeah, I think you're right in that there were a lot of there was a lot of physical 50-50s and challenges where players were sort of like jostling for possession, where other games you do see them go one way or the other. And he did tend to let the game go and let those challenges slide a little bit. But I don't know, there were times in the game where I was thinking, what on earth is he doing? Like,
I mean, you can't have been thinking that often.
If I think about it once, it sticks with me because I like
early on after the Antonio booking. That
maybe it's Peter Banks still haunting me from a couple of weeks ago, and it's just it's made me just really get frustrated with referees easier than I should.
Just on edge, yeah, really sensitive to it whenever it happens. Well, look, fair enough. One thing as well that was funny about that, about the corner, because of when it happened, Jordan Pickford does his usual whenever he has to do anything in a game, even though he's a goalkeeper and that's what he's paid to do. Did his usual of getting up and just angrily screaming at anyone within 5 yards of him for no apparent reason. And when he did the usual, then he flapped at a couple earlier in the game, didn't he? Aerial balls, and so he does that, and I thought brilliant. Antonio almost deliberately left space between him. Brilliant jump. I think Pickford should have tried to punch it rather than catch it from there anyway. But when he does that, and then the ref rightfully gives a corner, he then gets up and just screams at anyone again for no reason whatsoever, despite the fact that the call was right. And I did say, as we were watching the game with my dad, as I often do, and I did say, it will be funny if we score here, though, won't it? After all of that, when Ogbonna rose at the near post, I thought it was an OG. I thought Ben Godfrey had nodded it in his own net somehow.
Nah, it was definitely Ogbonna. But do you know what first annoys me at Goodison Park, though, is the blue nets.
Yeah?
The blue nets. Because sometimes it's very difficult to know whether the ball's gone in the back of the net or not, or whether it's gone behind. Because the net's kind of mould into the background. So I had a delayed reaction. Like, I saw Ogbonna get his head to it, but it looked like it had gone past the post rather than into the net. Very split second. So that's another thing I'm annoyed about. I mean, I don't know why I'm so annoyed.
I don't. It's literally just won 1-0 at way, a ground we historically never win at.
I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing with the result, but just annoyed about the nets. I don't know why.
Well, you were getting confused there. I cheered because I saw it go in, but I just thought it was an Everton player who had done it. So we've done the goal there, mate. The stamp on Soucek. So they're coming together. Soucek involved in a little tussle in the middle of the pitch with two Everton players, one being Salomon Rondon. Soucek goes down, and then he's holding his face for ages afterwards as Everton play on, and the referee doesn't call it back, even though it's like he's holding his face/head. So that's against the rules anyway. Actually, maybe you're right, James. An awful refereeing performance. And then, the game plays on. Goes back to him, blood pouring from Soucek's face, and the replay. I was stunned. The VAR didn't even have a look at it. For me, Rondon's leg there, his boot connects right with Soucek's face, which is dangerous enough anyway, so play should have been stopped primarily. But second to that, it didn't look like a natural position for his leg to be in for me, and I wouldn't have been surprised at all if there'd been a red card given.
So in real time, as soon as I saw Soucek react, I thought, oh, that looks like they'll go back for that. VAR will have a look. But I haven't seen the replay. I don't know. I don't think he's meant it. He's moved his foot to gain a little bit of balance and he's caught him. And I think, VAR's obviously looked at the replay before double checking it and seen it and just gone, fine. Like, I don't think it was deliberate. But then again, at the same time, had they gone to VAR and decided to send him off, you kind of probably wouldn't have been surprised. But I don't think it's a red card, mate.
No?
Yeah, I thought it was accidental. He just happened to be on the floor when he went to move his leg for a bit of balance because he was in possession, wasn't he? Really?
Oh yeah, just looked a bit of an unnatural. It looked like his leg went further back than it would normally, if you know what I mean. But apparently not. Don't know why we're both like completely disagreeing with each other, but coming at different incidents from completely different angles this afternoon. I think one thing is we're agreed on, Jonesy, is that we're delighted the West Ham have got 3 points, and Andrei Yarmolenko. I don't know if it counts as a main incident of the game, but he come on, didn't he, with 1 minute of stoppage time to go, and I was like, even just him coming on for a minute makes me nervous. And he comes on and gets the ball in an advanced position as we're trying to see the game out, and rather than controlling it and just running it into the corner, which he easily could, or tried to bring Pablo Fornals, I think it was, who was still on the pitch, or Antonio, whoever was nearby, bringing them into play and perhaps just shepherding it and keeping the ball in the corner. He just like half volley cushioned the ball to no one at all, straight back to the Everton centre half. They break, win a corner, and nearly get a flipping equaliser as the referee's playing about 5 extra minutes on top of the 4 that was originally put up on the board. It's just the ban is baffling.
The pass was almost like he was playing older midfield for Everton, and he was just cushed it down and going to the centre half and like, go on then, play the ball play the ball. I mean, when it happened, I was like, I don't even know what he was thinking when the ball came to him. But surely, as an international footballer, you know, like, okay, there's a minute left. We're 1-0 up. I'm technically almost in the final third of the opposition. I'm going to run I'm going to bring this ball down and run to the corner flag, or try to. Actually, no, go on. I'll just pass it back to them. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
You have it back, lads.
Go on, Everton. Let's see what you can do in the last 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a strange one. Especially after scoring 2 and then the national break comes back for us, plays 30 seconds and already does something wrong, which is just weird.
Bless him. Never mind. Well, he held on for the win anyway, which is good. Thought Jared Bowen, mate. Obviously, a few stories coming out in the week about his love life involved with Danny Dyer, by all accounts, Love Island star, not the EastEnders barman. I don't think he was
the EastEnders barman's daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think he was coming out of pictured coming out of Danny Dyer's senior's house one morning last week. But I mean, hey, they might still be in the family home. You never know, do you?
Good luck to him.
But I thought he was brilliant. Again, he's a different player. So is Pablo Fornals. Lots of great work off the ball. Every time, it's almost like what I found with Fornals today, whenever Everton were in possession, if you'd have paused the frame, right? I know I've coming up with a couple of weird analogies today, but if you'd have paused the frame, taken Fornals off, and you got to pick like the ideal position for Pablo Fornals to be in a freeze frame when Everton had the ball, wherever you'd put him in a dream position, he always seemed to be there in real life. It's just, if you were playing FIFA or whatever, wherever you were controlling your player and wanting him to run while the other team had the ball, Fornals was there all the time. It's like unglamorous work, but he's been good at
very
that
intelligent.
Since he came anyway.
He's a very intelligent player,
exactly, mate. Yeah, knowing where he wants to be, just to make the right back or the centre halves have to think a couple of times and kill the momentum a bit, let his teammates get in by his teammates a second or two behind him to get into position. Just so often, he was just so good at that today. I thought he was brilliant. Jared Bowen was as usual. I think it was his corner as well, was it not? Did he get the assist? I think he swung the corner.
Might have been. Yeah, he was taking the corners over on that right hand side, wasn't he? So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thought Cresswell had a good game. Ogbonna and Zuma, some big blocks from both of them at different times. They seem to be getting on really well and striking up an encouraging relationship, and Ben Johnson as well. So on a game that was a little bit of a turgid watch, no one really had a terrible game, did they?
No,
other than Yarmolenko.
Other than Yarmolenko. But yeah, there wasn't a single player that really put a foot wrong. I thought
Soucek improved slightly.
Sorry?
Soucek, did you think he's improved slightly?
Yeah,
he still looked a little bit rusty, but
I mean, he's probably knackered after playing 180 minutes over the last 2 weeks, but he did improve because he was in that new, well, the old role that he would normally play. Obviously, Rice and they switched again. He had his goal ruled out for offside in the first half. It was,
clear, wasn't it? Clear offside.
It was clear. But yeah, I thought every single player. I thought Ben Rama, it was quiet, but still didn't really put a foot wrong. He had a couple of really good flashes of brilliance in both halves. So yeah, I thought every single player put a shift in, and we're kind of used to that now, aren't we? It's very rarely that we can look back at a game and go, "Oh, that player had a poor game," or 4 or 5 players were off the game. Every single week, it's like every single player put a shift in.
Yeah, no, you're right,
and made a difference. So yeah, decent all round, happy days.
Who's your man of the match then?
I'm going to give it to Zuma.
Yeah,
yeah. Right. I thought he was just
over
so
Ogbonna.
Solid. Yeah, I thought he was. Yeah, Ogbonna got the goal. I just thought Zuma was just solid all round. Thought, yeah, made some very, very important blocks. Read the game really, really well. Dealt with Rondon when he needed to. Yeah, I thought he was the better player on the day.
Fair play, mate. Fair play. Well, I'm going to give it to Declan, but tip of the hat to Ben Johnson as well, and Lucas Fabianski. Any questions or any emotional hangover he might have had from playing his last ever game from Poland? People suggesting he might finally be out the team for Areola. Proves all those people wrong again. Thought he was solid. Yeah, happy days. Nice little smash and grab. Dominant performance at Goodison Park once again, and according to Jonesy, that is. But come away with 3 points, 6 in the table. Happy days. Is there anything else, James? Go on.
Just on Ben Johnson, I thought he'd have been well worthy of the man of the match award. But I think the one thing I've taken away from that performance from him is that it's nice to know that we've got cover there that we can rely on. Soufal's injured. We don't know how long he's out for, which is a blow. But we know that we can now rely on Johnson. Obviously, we've got Fredericks as well, and he's injured as well. But it's nice to know that we've got someone in there that we can trust to step up at that level and put in a solid performance every single week when he's needed. Because he's still relatively inexperienced. He's only, I don't think he's even played 30 games for us in all competitions. So great performance from him. And I'm sure Moyes will be happy that he's got another player that he can trust to step in when he needs it.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. Saying Soufal, wasn't it? Still got apparently the injury he picked up in the Man United Cup game. He's saying he's still got a hangover from that. So didn't look on it at all against Brentford. I was surprised he didn't give Johnson the game against Brentford, to be quite honest. But yeah, absolutely agree, mate. Looked brilliant. And I don't want to play, I don't want this to turn into a game of one-upmanship here or top trumps or anything like that. But interestingly, that was the first time West Ham have won successive league games at Goodison Park for the first time since 1930. How's that?
Woof. That's like that.
That was worthy of an interestingly, wasn't it, at the beginning?
Yeah. I'll give you that one.
Yeah. Top man. Well, look, happy days, mate. 3 points at Goodison Park. The start or the end of the week, I suppose, but it feels like the start with Genk coming up again on Thursday. It's a bit weird recording them on Sunday, isn't it? Lose my bearings a little bit, mate. But look, happy days. West Ham, 3 points, 6th in the table, still massive.